Donny.
Rip apartment for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Wardrobe for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Tim for Donny. Go for Donny.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Tim Duffy, the legendary Tim Duffy. How in the flippin' hell are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great. I don't know how legendary I am, but I'm doing really great.
Man, everyone I talk to in the industry, if I ever mention the Duffys, they're like, oh yeah, we know them. It's like everyone knows you intimately too. It's not like just passing by. So, you guys know a lot of people. But before we get into that, you guys, I want everyone to stay tuned for Switchy Channel 2. That's where we're going to get a chance to ask our guests some more questions that the listeners, you guys want to hear. And Switchy Channel 2, just so you know, I failed to explain it to your brother when I had Mike on. It's a little idea about a show because, on set, whenever you had chatter, you'd always reach back and switch to channel 2. You'd have your little chatter, but everyone else would listen in. And so everyone heard a chatter, and then you switch back to your normal channel. So that's later. But before we get there, I want to get back to Tim and some of your accolades, Tim, because, we worked together at MTV Networks years ago, like 20-some years ago. That just dated us a lot. Like we were just talking, I think it may have had Little Brown back then. And you were with Spike TV. And then after that, we kind of went on our paths, and then you created a company with your brother. But geez, I'm looking at some of the things. You're Emmy-winning, James Beard nominated, creator, director, writer, producer. Holy shit, dude, that's pretty awesome. Your show Top Elf on Nickelodeon, that was funny as shit. I mean, dude, you went pretty far, Tim, I must say, and I'm very proud of you guys. And whenever you see anything like, that whole group of MTV Networks back in the day, how, it was just, we were all different networks, but we all knew each other. And it was all kind of close and where you kind of follow each other. And it's really cool to see the paths that everyone took. So anyways, welcome, Tim. I want to hear more about you and where you've come from and where you are today. Just real quick. And then I want to ask you, actually, I got a funny story for you. But tell me, where have you been, Tim? Where have you been the last 15 years?
Where have I been? Oh my gosh. So I got to travel the world with some of the world's best chefs. I got to produce some of the greatest comedians on earth. Along the way, in the background, I was teaching meditation. And during the pandemic, as the world was falling apart, something just clicked in me, to be honest with you, where I felt as if I needed to shift gears completely. I was teaching meditation as a service and executive coaching throughout the industry, kind of as like a hobby, frankly, because the work that I had done within my own meditation practice was so transformative with my own mental health, and I didn't want to keep it in. So pandemic hits. We were nominated for 4 Emmys for our Netflix series, Fresh, Fried, and Crispy.
It's crazy.
And I couldn't care less, dude. I was like,
Oh,
this is not at all what I want to be doing. And so I quit.
that's
And
nuts.
I left. Yeah.
Wait, so just real quick, like, was it abrupt? Were you thinking about it a long time? Did you come to terms with it over a long period of time, or were you just like, fuck it, one day you're like, you know what, I'm doing it, and pulled that Band-Aid off?
Dude, I mean, it was like, for me, I've been the first time I taught corporate meditation was in 2010 at MTV Networks. And I was
Wow.
actually working with your wife.
Oh, no kidding.
So Jeannie actually helped me facilitate the very first mindfulness based community group at MTV Networks in 2010.
Wow.
I had come to the practice through my old friend's anxiety and depression while I was launching Spike TV, especially the early days. I was kind of white knuckling my way through it. And I was like, everybody thinks I'm good, but
Put
I
it every
don't
on.
feel good inside. So I did all the things, all the drugs and the alcohol and the things that, helped me evade the reality of what I was experiencing in my own world. And none of it worked. And then I was like, I guess I'm going to become a meditator. Let me try this for a couple of months. It was that kind of serious for me. Everything shifted at that point. Everything started to kind of fall into place and click. And I started to recognize at that point in my life that happiness is an inside job and that everything is workable, no matter how intense things get internally or externally. So that was kind of what I was doing while I was producing. Um, and I was just doing it as a volunteer, right? Like helping folks. I'd get the call like, hey, I got this crazy diagnosis and I'm worried about life. And I'd help that person. Or, hey, I'm about to go into this M&A situation and we're going to have to lay off a bunch of people. And I'd help that person or those people while running my other businesses.
Jeez.
And then so I had no designs whatsoever on doing anything other than entertainment as my career until the pandemic hit and I looked around and the world was falling apart and everybody was tripping. And I went, why am I holding this in? I think I can use my weird superpowers of scaling stories and building audience to build um, a community of folks that can use meditation to heal themselves. So that's what
That's
led me to today. Yeah.
that is freaking amazing. Wow. I mean, who would have thought? And like, I mean, that's pretty daunting to just quit. I mean, after being so successful, I'm sure with that success. I mean, you're battling a lot of things that we all battle. But geez, I mean, to make that switch, good on you. And look, like you're happier than I think I've ever seen you. Really, I mean,
Well, the thing is, I also want to kind of point at, the conditions of the industry, man. Like a
mhm.
lot of your listeners are feeling this right now too. Like I, in probably 2016 or so, started looking around the industry and was like, this is completely unimpressive. Like there's a ton of failure going on at the top levels of the industry. And I know your podcast isn't about serious shit necessarily, but like I started seeing the writing on the wall of the leadership in the industry not adapting to the consumer. And that's where I also started to lose interest. I'm like, I am unimpressed with the vision of these people. Um, so yeah, we got the awards and all that stuff, but I looked around at a business model that just didn't make sense to me. And as a business owner, I also went on to launch two more businesses after 2016, three more businesses. It was like
Just three more, no
it,
big deal.
it's like just run your business well, and I didn't see that happening in the industry. So that was also part of it. Was like I grew disenamored
Wow.
with the industry at large. So
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy how the industry's changed so much. I mean, ever since I got started, I mean, which I want to talk about on Switch Channel 2 on how you got started, but I was talking about how I answered phones at the front desk at MTV.
yeah, I
And,
remember.
yeah, even back then, it was things were different. I mean, it's amazing how it's changed so much to where
Totally.
it is today. But
Yeah,
I will say, thank God for the industry. Thank God for all these shows that I worked on and all the crazy shit that I've seen along the way, good and bad and funny and sad. That kind of rhymed. And that's kind of
it
why we
literally rhymed.
came up with this podcast, because all the fun stories, all the crazy shit that we have gotten to do from our industry. I never, like in Colombia, getting to do a sunrise horse ride on this, amazing preserve. I would have never done that if I wasn't working in the industry.
Totally.
Getting to drive like a total jackhole on some shows.
Yeah,
I'm getting paid to
yeah.
do that. That's how this podcast came about. That's what I was trying to say. And so I don't know. I have some stupid stories. So I'm sure in your time, you have some amazing, stupid or crazy or funny, and hopefully not
Dude,
sad stories.
that's the beauty of being storytellers, right? You don't
Yep.
need the entertainment industry to give you the vehicle of transmitting story. And I love what you're doing with this podcast. I
Thank
think
you.
our community, especially in the unscripted space, like the places we went and oh the shit we did, right?
dude, dude. I
Whoa,
was talking about my first show out of the gate when I left development was a show called Suburban Virgin, and
yeah,
we were trying to get virgins laid. I mean, that's just like, what? Like, what are you trying to do? It's just weird shit. And that's just one of many. And I'm sure that's just a speck in the sand on a beach of what you have, you
dude.
know.
Look, man, one of my favorite memories that I just recently kind of brought in back into my life was I remember being in LA, fresh off the boat from Philly. I'd been here for 3 months and I got a PA job on the lot at Paramount.
Ooh.
And I was like, I, the first like 2 weeks, I'm like, I made it. This is insane. Like, what is happening? And then quickly I looked around me and saw all the cynicism settle in, and I started to take that on. This was 27 years ago.
Isn't that
And
bizarre?
I'm like, no big deal. What's the big deal? So I'm 3 months in, I'm eating lunch on the lot. And at that time, they were shooting Star Trek, like Voyager 12 or some shit. And at lunchtime, on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I recall, the extras from Star Trek were eating lunch alongside all of the producers and employees at Paramount Network in full makeup and
Okay.
costume. So I'm sitting there eating lunch at this little cafe on the edge of the studio. I'm 3 months in, so I'm cynical
Shit,
at
the
this
studio.
point.
Of course, yeah.
Like, no big deal. What's the big deal? And I hear, "What's up, bro?" Over to my left, and I look over, and it's a Klingon. he's like, he's like, "What do you do, man?" And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh, what's up, Klingon?" I'm like, "I'm just having lunch, man. I'm a producer. I work on this game show, whatever." And he's like, and I'm like, "What about you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Carl. I'm from Long Island. Been doing stand up for like 10 years. This is my first paid gig, bro." And I'm like, "No way, it's your first paid gig." And he's like, "Yeah, man. I'm on the lot." And he's like, "So what's your story?" And I'm like, "Just moved here, from Philly." And he's like, "You're already working at Paramount?" And I go, "Yeah." And he leans in and he goes, "Bro, we made it. We made it." And I was like, "He's right.
Oh my
We
gosh.
made it." And then I was like, "He's a fucking Klingon." And my whole world just like was like, "Where am I? This is insane, dude." But that's
That's an eye opener.
that's the beauty of this like weird ass industry in this weird ass town, right? It's a job and it's a dream, right? Together.
When you first started that story, I just looked at you and I'm just thinking all these different jobs that you've done, and and stuck with Spike because you mentioned Spike, and it's because when I was at the front desk, we would have casting, and it was so bizarre. It was so bizarre having casting for Nickelodeon and for Spike on the same day,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the difference in the I guess they're
Cleavage?
actors cleavage, yeah, was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
the women were wearing nothing for these casting calls. I should have just single out Spike. I should say it was I think Wild and Out was going on then. You know,
That's right.
at the
Yeah, because
motel where they're
MTV, they were
yeah.
casting all their reality shows as
Ah,
well. And it was like, it was like, that contrast was absolute insanity. You had like the most precocious, amazingly talented little children coming in and like straight off of like off Broadway with parents who were like, and then you'd have like the cleavage army. you know?
it was bizarre, and I will say I'm trying to get Helena Lazaro. She was my cohort. She answered phones with me, and we had such a fun time. It was just, and that was a transition when I didn't know what I was, excuse me, going to be doing. But some of the stories we have, some of the people who come up, celebs, non-celebs. Like I remember this woman came up. Oh my god, she had to have been for Spike. She had this top on, but her nipple, like her boobs weren't even covered, and her nipple was out. It was
Oh
like
my
straight.
God.
It was
Right
like
there.
right there, man. It was like staring at you. And I mean, it was hard not to look at it. And thank God we had instant messenger and we were messaging back and forth. Like, can you see that? Like, can you tell her to put her boob away? But
Yeah.
it was so
Did
bizarre back
either
in the
of you
day.
suggest nipple coverage or no?
No, I was trying not to make, I don't know. I was just trying to make small talk, and
Yeah, you're
how
just
do you not,
looking up like,
yeah,
how do you, I don't,
how do you not feel
can't.
that, and I just want to adjust, like, make sure you're there. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, dude. That was the thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, I came from a pretty crazy, um, you know, I don't want to say conservative background, but like grew up kind of Catholic in Philly. And when I got into the industry, it was just like a cesspool of scum and villainy, like the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars, right? You know, and then you walk into MTV networks back in the day, who were like on the front edge and front line of like everything, you
Everything.
know,
Yeah.
from everything, and you're like, I am literally in this. I'm in like the Mos Eisley Cantina. There's just like a dude with like a crazy elephant tusk nose over there. You've got nipples everywhere. You've got like 7-year-olds auditioning, you know, for reality. Like, what the hell happened? It was Donnie.
We
It
had
was
everything. We had comedy.
awesome.
We had comedy. We had CMD. So we had all the country. You know,
That's
you
right.
guys Spike. And then MTV, MTV2, VH1. When is this transitioning like that crazy you know, oh, Tila Tequila and all
That's
that
right.
good really choice programming. Pimp My Ride was going on. You get
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
phone
yeah.
calls like yo, man, I want to pimp my ride.
Oh,
2755, I think that's the 2755 was the extension. But yeah, you just think back to all those crazy, weird things that you got to see, and it was a trip, man. It was a trip.
it was a trip, dude. And that was the West Coast arm of what we did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if did you have a chance to travel to the
Yep.
MTV building in New York,
Oh yeah,
right?
went with Jeannie all the time.
All the time, dude. It was like there are these like these hubs that kind of like guardrails of the country. You know what I mean? Like receiving in the rest of the world and like emanating out, pop culture to the rest of the world on the East Coast and the West Coast. It was just insane and alive. And it was so centralized too. Like that's what's so crazy about our world today in terms of like media and media distribution is it's like so decentralized, Name one entity that has the cultural influence in media, I'm
Yeah, I
saying,
was gonna say
uh, pop culture as what mainly, but like that had the influence that MTV had back then. It just doesn't exist.
no, no. I mean, kids. We talk about this a lot on Switch Channel 2 and about the industry and where it's going, and we talk about kids and what they're watching and what they're not watching, and they're not watching any cable or as broadcast TV.
Yeah.
So they're not going to
Which begs
MTV.
the question, like as I think about this, I'm like, so is Mr. Beast bigger than MTV Networks was back in the day? Like,
Well, if you look at numbers, yeah, right? You have to be.
I mean, I don't even know, dude. Can you,
I'm gonna ask that. You know what? I'm gonna put that in a doc. I'm gonna ask Chat GPT. Be like, yo, Chat.
dude, please
We're
do
on
that.
we're on a close relationship. Me and Chat. I'll see what they come up with.
Can
But
we do that? Can I do that right now for the love
do
of
it.
Christ?
Do
Let's
it.
do it. Chat
That's
GPT.
that's
We're
a
going to
good
ask you in real time.
like real time. Like
Who
I think
had what's the prompt? What do we want with Chat GPT right now?
we want to know who has the larger reach.
Larger media reach.
Shit, then it'd probably be MTV for years. I don't know.
MTV Networks in its heyday or Mr. Beast today. Okay, let's go. Ready? You ready? You
Do it.
ready? You ready?
What are the
You
results?
ready?
What are we having?
Let's
What's
see.
Chat saying?
ChatGPT, which is replacing all of our jobs in the next 3 years. It says, in terms of raw scale and global immediacy, Mr. Beast today arguably has a larger direct media reach than MTV Networks did in its heyday.
Wow.
Woo!
Whoa.
But it's nuanced, right? Because ChatGPT totally understands subtlety, certainly
Yeah.
more than humans do. Uh, Mid
Wow.
80s to 2000s, MTV reached approximately 90 million US households at its peak through cable subscriptions. Internationally, it was hundreds of millions across 170 countries. Mr. Beast today is 230 million YouTube subscribers, with his videos regularly guarding 50 to 200 plus million views each. All right. All right. So
Wow. All right. Well, it was good while it lasted, right? So we know the direction.
let's keep the stories alive at least.
Woo, doggy. All right. Well, I mean, I'm going to stick with YouTube, I think. I'm not going to go back to MTV anytime soon.
No,
Wow.
dude, no.
Well, I mean, there you go. That's what's happening with the industry. But man, good on Mr. Beast. You
Good
know.
on Mr. Beast. God bless. Right?
God, it was so much fun, dude. I can't believe MTV Networks lasted. And what about our the holiday parties?
Oh
Um,
God.
yeah, I remember a few of them where they were like, uh, "Oh, Donnie must be out there in the cabana," or something. They were crazy. They weren't as crazy
I went to
as the New York ones.
I went to one. We did one party at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh my gosh.
So it was all of MTV Networks, and it was like I think it was like for the Guys' Choice Awards, which basically ended up being like the entire Trump administration, like the broiest shit ever. But back then it was a joke, and now it's government. Anyway, it was like so we're at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and all of like the every network brass is there because it's like literally like Brad Pitt and Harrison
Oh,
Ford getting
jeez.
awards and like Joe Rogan presenting with all these like UFC fighters and all this shit and raging in the at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And me and like 10 other people escape off into what we thought was a clandestine space to smoke some marijuana.
Ooh.
And what we ended up realizing after about an hour of multiple joints being passed around the crew after several hours of drinking at this party was that the whole time we were literally like 17 feet from the valet line. So we were just like smoking out. There was just like a huge cloud of smoke, marijuana
Uh,
smoke that everyone would arrive to go to the party. And I was like, okay, that's the Spike TV crew, apparently.
that's a good welcoming.
It was a good welcoming, but uh, it literally everyone, because back then it wasn't cool. This was like
Yeah.
15 years ago. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it wasn't legal.
No.
And we were like, everyone was like, are we going to get fired? Are we going to get caught? It's crazy.
Oh, MTV Networks where people would go and smoke on. I was like, what is? And back then, it wasn't. It was kind of frowned upon a little more. And I remember people go out to the balcony and smoke and then come back in. And I was just like, man, these guys are awesome. These are the coolest people ever. Like you're smoking dope and coming back to work. What? How do
Oh
you
my
do that?
God.
I
And
mean,
then you'd like look over and see like, the VP of human resources like making out with like an accounting person. You know what I mean? Like they like it was just total debauchery.
it was crazy, especially the New York ones. The New York ones were like 10 times crazier than the LA parties.
Yeah, they were, dude.
At least the ones that I went to, you know.
Yeah,
But that's fun.
yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of access. I mean, I'm sure he had a lot more access than I did. I mean, I can say I went to the I think it was a Spike TV Game Awards or some shit was going on at the Playboy Mansion. So I got to go to the Playboy Mansion for a night. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
shit like that.
I never got to go to the Playboy Mansion actually. What was that like?
I mean, it was like, you're outside, you're by the grotto. I mean, it was tame. It was it was tame. But I went and and saw where the monkeys are and outside. You couldn't go inside, of course. So, but it was. But I went. So I can say I went. I guess.
Was this
Check
pre
that box.
Hugh Hefner dying or
It was
post
pre.
Hugh
It was
Hefner?
pre. It was pre. This is like. Oh, this is when I was. I don't even know what year. This was with MTV too. Still. So.
Amazing that that man he like pioneered just wearing pajamas all day long. And then he got so old that you were like, well, there's nothing special about that.
No. Like and like put
You're
your
like,
fucking
oh, now
clothes
you're
on,
just
bro.
an old dude who's in pajamas all day long, which is kind of what we all want to be anyway. You know what I mean? Uh, Weird
It's like
times.
dress up a little. Um, do you have any fun international stories that you can share? I mean, because like I said, I've been around the world on the company's dime a couple times,
Hmm.
and it's so much fun. And I just have there's so many great stories, like going to Ireland, filming in Dublin, and then trying to make sure you go to bed at a decent time so you could get to work at a decent time. Just fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we,
Have you?
as at MT when I was at Spike, so MTV Networks, of course, was the parent company of all those sub networks that eventually became Viacom, and now they're Paramount, and it's mostly streaming now. But um, at Spike, one of the most remarkable experiences I had was I had the opportunity to go to different parts of Africa to explore
Really?
the possibility of telling a documentary story about anti-poaching units throughout Africa
For Spike?
and for Spike. And it was like, this is when we were doing like DEA. It was like, we had a whole kind of like documentary style division that was like, in the edit, it was always like heavy drum beats, and quick smash cut editing and knocking doors down. And there were like, nothing ever really happened on camera. So it was just like great editing. So we were always looking for ways to, tell more stories with heavy drum beats and smash cut editing. And anti-poaching units was like fascinating for me.
Wow.
What was the way in? So we found this dude who was like a 45-year-old white dude who dressed like Steve Irwin, but he was from like Idaho, and he was not at all interesting and very unintelligent. And so it
Idaho.
was just like, so you'd get there and I'd be like in Zimbabwe, hanging out with like a paramilitary unit, in the middle of the bush. And we'd like cut to him and he'd be like, amazing. I'm like, you got anything else to say, bro? We're in Africa. You got us here. Can you say something interesting or entertaining? You know, but I got to travel. I got to do stuff like that all the time, and some of it worked out, and a lot of it didn't. But that was what development was all about.
That would be fun. I guess, yeah, you're right, because, you got to throw shit at the wall, see if it sticks, you know, see what doesn't slide down. So it
Hmm.
slides down too fast. Oh, that's a pretty bad
Yeah.
analogy anyway. That's awesome. God, I've been so lucky. Like, I've gone to India twice. The last time I went to India, it was on Renovations. It was a Disney show with the one and only Jeremy Renner, and Rory, his sidekick Rory, of course. But it was like, we went to New Delhi, and man, talking about, one, the smells, and have you been to India?
I've never
Oh
been
my
to
gosh. Yeah.
India.
So it's like, well, it's go to an Indian restaurant and you're like, just the spices of smells. And then you add the humidity and just some other smells. And you're just like, oh my God, where am I? But the people, and it's beautiful. It's just, I don't know. The food's amazing. I've gone two
Mm.
times. I never got deli belly, so you
Nice.
just look back to, experiences like that where you get to cherish, like, going places on the company's dime, and then having to escort the talent back. And oh dang, well, the talent's in up in first class, so Donnie has to ride in first class. So, that was
Nice. That's the thing about,
never fly like that again.
travel. Yeah, no shit. That dude, I mean that part of our lives too, with all that money flowing around. Truly it was like embarrassing how much money was being thrown. Like when you look back at how much money MTV Networks actually had, how much of it was thrown at talent, at us, at talent handlers, all that stuff. It was an incredible time in our lives. But the thing about, travel for me, that I had never traveled until I got in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, yeah,
I had never even flown out of the country until my first gig that took me to Europe when I was 24 or so, 25. And it's like that really gave me the bug, for when you're traveling on somebody else's dime. You're experiencing all this beautiful freshness with the low stakes of not having to pay for it,
yeah,
but you're also on the job, right? And so you're like, I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity like this again to be in this particular place with these particular people experiencing this particular thing. And the truth in retrospect is we won't have those chances ever again. And so when you're out there in the world, and I'm curious to see if you agree with this, which sounds like you do based on your Dublin experiences. you're burning the candle at both ends, right?
Hmm.
You're like crushing it in a 12-hour or 14-hour workday. And then you're going out and being a tourist at night and
Yep.
experiencing the food and the culture for as much as you possibly can. And then you show up and you get back to work the next day.
Yep. Yep. But what I do, I take it a step farther. And the older I get, the less I go out on school nights, anyways, and partake in
For
any
sure.
alcohol.
Yeah.
But I always try to.
This is green tea, by the way. Green tea.
Oh, good man. That's
Okay.
Prankster's good. It's a good beer. It's like 7.6% alcohol. It's good for you. It's good for
No,
you.
no, green. I'm not drinking beer right now. Look, there's heat. Can you see the heat coming up on
Yeah, mate. I see. I've got my. That's a good transition right now. So, I've got my coffee, my cappuccinos I make in this nice cup, and I have some stickers. Tim, I also
me?
have a website, gofordonny.com, where you can go and check out some nice photos. That's where I have a lot of videos, some blog posts, and I have some swag as well, some nice hats. You gotta brand
Really good.
yourself. Go for
Got to
me.
brand it. Yeah,
Got to brand it,
totally.
and I got sweatshirts, some hoodies, but and some stickers. This is my favorite here. Yeah, right there.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's
Right,
cool.
throw it on the
Milwaukee.
throw it on the Pelican case. And Tim, just in case you didn't know, this is not only an audio podcast. This is also a video podcast. I have a YouTube
Didn't know.
channel just
Didn't
in
know
case
that.
for anyone else that didn't know, it's at Go for Donnie. That's my YouTube channel where I have a few playlists where you can catch an episode of Go for Donnie, or you can catch an episode of Switch Channel 2, which we're going to be doing next with my good friend Tim. So, Tim, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Weren't you going to tell me something about John Taffer? And how I,
Okay, so
I, yeah,
you want to hear the origin story of how
I,
Bar
sh-
Rescue became Bar Rescue?
yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes.
so um, I was senior vice president of original programming at Spike TV, and I think it was 2008 when I get an email from an executive from a company called Three Ball. They
Okay.
produced Biggest Loser, and this dude sends me an email and he goes, I don't know if there's anything here, but I wanted to take you a look. It was like the lowest effort email as a network executive who was used to taking pitch meetings. Um, it was like so low. No, dude, it wasn't even an email because back then email wasn't as big of a deal. It was a package with a DVD and a note on it. Not sure if there's anything here, but thought you might want to take a look. Like the person was like, I don't know, dude. So I popped the DVD in the DVD player, and there's this like aggressively unattractive but undeniably powerful man who appears on screen named John Taffer. And I think the show at the time was called like Bar Nightmares because he was basically just saw kitchen nightmares and was like, I'm going to do that for bars, which is that was actually a brilliant idea. And today the show is still one of the top, I think, three performing shows on Paramount streaming.
Seriously?
So yes, so
Wow.
they're like 18 seasons in. They did multiple seasons per year, a few times or
Holy cow.
whatever. So I press play. Up pops John Taffer, and I'm like, it's a total ripoff um of Kitchen Nightmares, but he's kind of awesome. Like there's something about this dude that just pops, right? So I'm kind of like waffling, and I'm like, he doesn't necessarily have like the looks for like a reality TV show host, you know what I mean? Um, and there's going to be a lot of opposition to this dude. Can I sell him forward to my bosses to convince them to do so? And so that's what you're thinking in the back of your mind or whatever. And so this 3.5 minute tape's pretty garden variety, but he's given good insights on like some interesting facts about how to run a bar. And then at the end of the tape, he lines up all the employees of this bar that he just tried to do a makeover on. And he goes down the line one by one and kind of criticizes them. And he's pretty, harsh with some of them, kind of nice with others. And he gets down to the final person at the end of the bar, and her name is Karen. And he goes, and Karen, yeah, you, what's that hat you're wearing? And she goes, oh, this is McShay's. This is This is the bar down the street. They're friends of our business. And he goes, so you're wearing the hat at your job of the competition? And she's like, yeah, they're like friends. What's kind of like a neighborhood thing? And he goes, and he kind of takes a step back and he goes, hey, Karen, how'd you like it if I walked into your house with all your family there with a shirt or a hat that said, fuck you, Karen? Would that be good for you? How would that make you feel? How would that make your family feel? And I was like, oh my God. I think I have something amazing on my hands right now. Now, I would never buy this show today because it went on to become one of the meanest shows on television. But back then, it was like, whoa, dude, this is
Wow.
absolute insanity. And it went on to, it's still getting greenlit. It's still on the air.
So, it's still greenlit. It's not just running like reruns. It's
No,
actually
they keep doing it, dude. They keep
wow.
buying. Yeah, yeah. Taffer's gonna hate me for this, but yeah. And dude, it took me forever to get that show. We went through 9 cuts and like 4 different producers, and pretty much every on the pilot, and pretty much every single cut, my bosses were like, "Nope, nope, nope. We're not doing this. Stop, 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 stop." And I'm like, "There's something here. We can figure it out." And by the 9th cut, what we discovered was bar rescue was really the science of successful bars. And basically, anytime you walk into a bar as a person that's a customer in bars, we wanted to empower our viewers to be able to walk into their corner bar and start to figure out how to make it better so that they could play along in their own lives using the science of successful bars. And I think that's that plus the fact that Taffer was just an undeniably incredible on-camera talent is why that show has succeeded for so long.
Holy cow, dude, that's pretty cool. That is pretty rad. What network is that on?
It's on Paramount Plus, which is their streaming network, which was formerly known as Spike TV.
Okay. So it came from Spike. Ah, man, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you. It's kind of cool seeing some of the shows. I mean, I'm sure that you have more than I do, but just some of the shows that I've worked on, even to date, that are still cranking out. Like Naked and Afraid and Homestead Rescue, and I don't know. There's a few other pretty B-list ones, ones you forget about. But that's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing some fun stories, Mr. Duffy. Man, it's always so good to see you. I mean, I know we haven't seen each other in a minute, but
Great to see
someday your hair will look like mine.
Can I shout out to what I'm doing these days and point people to my stuff?
You can do that now, and you can do that as soon as we switch over to channel 2, because you know why? Everyone's going to be listening. Because when we switch to channel 2, everyone reaches back and they switch over, so everyone listens to our chatter. So yeah, we're going to switch over to channel 2, and then you're going to tell me what you've been doing, because I want to hear all about it. Because I read about it and I follow you. I just want to hear more about it from you. So
That sounds good.
Mr. Guru, thank you for coming on, Tim. You're so funny.
Thanks for having me, Donnie.
Oh,
so good
man.
to see you.
What a blessing. What a blessing. And guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Go to my website. And like I said, check out some of my merchandise if you want to get hats. You can check out this podcast, this video podcast on my YouTube channel at Go for Donnie. And you can listen to this on any one of these streaming platforms or podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify. All those under a rock, plug into a toad. But Tim, hey, just remember what my mother-in-law always says. #HTFU. HTFU, Tim.
Wait, what does that mean?
Harden the F up.
Okay. I will HTFU. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Tim.
Yeah, man. All right, brother. Later.
Later.
Production for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Locations for Donnie. Go for Donnie.
Habitat for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Hey, Donnie, what the hell are they doing?